The story begins with Evelyn and her best friend in a Las Vegas bar, having decided to spend the weekend together. Evelyn sees someone trying to harass a waitress, so she stops him and defends her. However, her mind becomes distracted when she spots an attractive young man and smiles as soon as she sees him. The next morning, Evelyn wakes up and finds herself asleep in the bathroom with the same young man. The attractive young man she saw last night at the bar is standing in front of her and tries to reassure her, but Evelyn is even more surprised when she sees a wedding ring on his finger. The same attractive young man, whose name she still doesn't know, jokes with her and tells her that he can bring her a smaller ring than the one she is wearing. Evelyn remembers nothing about what happened last night and is deeply shocked when the handsome young man tells her that they were married yesterday. Then he leaves her to take a shower. After her shower, the handsome young man tells Evelyn that he will ask his lawyer to handle their divorce. He then leaves, leaving her completely confused about what had happened. Evelyn decides to return to her city, Portland, but she is surprised by the presence of numerous journalists who question her about the reality of her marriage to the artist David. It is at this moment, as viewers, that we understand that the handsome young man Evelyn married without warning is the most famous singer in the entire country, and his name is David. Evelyn, who is shocked to discover that she married the most handsome and famous man in the whole country, is congratulated on her marriage by people everywhere. All the media are talking about the marriage of singer David, who has broken the hearts of countless girls because of his charm. We return to Evelyn, who notices the presence of journalists outside her house. David wants to conduct an interview with her, while her father is confused by what is happening. David's personal bodyguard hands the phone to Evelyn because David wants to speak to her and tells her that their divorce proceedings will take a long time. He advises her to come to his house with his bodyguard, away from the press. Evelyn decides not to miss her chance and gets into her car to go to David's house, but many of David's admirers are waiting for her. They attack her verbally and tell her that she is an idiot and that she doesn't understand why David is interested in her. Evelyn arrives at David's house, who seems to be a friendly person, and notices that he has also had her name tattooed on his hand, because Evelyn discovers that she too has his name tattooed somewhere on her body, which we cannot show. This is stirred, he is to pay in with him in his house until the divorce proceedings are over. Evelyn is told to do whatever she wants in her room, and later, bored of being alone, she decides to go downstairs. However, she happens to meet David's brother Jimmy, without knowing that he is David's brother. Jimmy tries to get to know Evelyn, but David suddenly appears and threatens to cut off his hand if he approaches her again. It seems that David is jealous of Evelyn, to the point that he tells her not to leave her room. The next morning, a girl named Mara, who works with David in the band, tries to wake Evelyn because the lawyers have arrived. Evelyn sits with the lawyers, who give her the divorce papers and ask her not to discuss the details of her marriage in the media, as she could face serious penalties if she does. The unexpected surprise is that he offers her $10 million in exchange for not claiming any additional money, or even half of David's fortune. Evelyn demands that she be allowed to disappear with her baby if she becomes pregnant by him. David opposes this, but Evelyn says she won't let anyone buy or sell her because she wants a divorce without any conditions, as she doesn't care about money at all. She leaves, but runs into one of David's friends from the band, who notices that she is crying. He takes her home and talks to her about David, telling her that all the girls admire him and advising her to get closer to him and get to know him better. David arrives at his friend's house looking for Evelyn, but his friend tells him exactly what happened and asks him why he filed for divorce from Evelyn when she seemed like a nice girl. David tells him that it was Evelyn who asked for the divorce, and he thought she was different from other girls. It seems that Evelyn overhears everything and appears in front of David and his friend. David's friend says he didn't know that it was Evelyn who had asked for the divorce. David then sees his name tattooed on Evelyn's body because the photo has been circulated on social media. Evelyn is sad because the photo of the tattoo, located in a forbidden area of her body, is being shared everywhere, and she wonders why she married David in just one night. Then she goes on a road trip with him, and he stops to buy strawberries. David asks Evelyn to stay with him at his house while he makes his final decision about their marriage, but Evelyn asks him how they first met. David replies that they talked at a bar and that he felt something different with her, that she was the right girl for him. Then Evelyn invites him to her room, and he promises to consider her only as a friend. Evelyn agrees to return to David's house, and David carries her inside. They enter the house. David sits facing the landscape, and Evelyn sits next to him and asks him to tell her exactly what happened after he left the room on their wedding night. David tells her that they talked and decided to take an important step in their lives, and then he tells her that it is time to sleep. David tells Evelyn about his life, explaining that he came from a poor family and became rich after founding his band. Evelyn says that she also comes from a modest family, but that she studied architecture, and the next morning, David gives Evelyn expensive clothes. Evelyn is surprised by their high price, and when her head hits the wood, she suddenly remembers what really happened between her and David before their wedding. She tells him that she remembers they were in the river, and that David pretended he couldn't swim, and suddenly the doorbell rings. The bell rings, announcing the arrival of David's married friends, who have come to support him and check on him. David introduces Evelyn to his friends who work with him in the band, and during dinner, we notice the tender and loving glances between David and Evelyn. They enjoy their time together, and that night, David tells Evelyn that he has no intention of divorcing her. It seems that Evelyn shares the same opinion, and the following day, David's friend's wife talks to Evelyn and tells her that she has never seen David as happy as he is today. His friend's wife takes Evelyn to a bar to have some fun together, and she meets a man who tries to bother her. But David arrives just in time and defends her, fighting with the man. Then David goes home with Evelyn and asks her why she let that man approach her and why she did not inform him that she would be leaving the house. Evelyn responds to David by telling him that she is not his property, and then they have a friendly argument. Evelyn contacts her best friend, who tells her that everyone who follows David knows that his self-confidence has been fragile since he was very young, because he was deeply hurt when his girlfriend cheated on him with his brother. And since then, David has closed the door on love and focused only on his career. The next morning, David and Evelyn work together, preparing pizza and getting to know each other better. David receives an important call inviting him to travel to Los Angeles as soon as possible. Upon arrival, David finds Martha, who seems unhappy about Evelyn's presence. David takes Evelyn to a private area in the theater to watch the musical number. The party begins, and Evelyn sees David playing the guitar while Martha stands beside her and tells her that she has known David for a long time. Evelyn notices that Martha is wearing the same earring as David, then ignores it and goes to the restroom. But Martha's brother stops her. Evelyn forces the door open and sees David in an embarrassing situation with Martha. David tries to explain what really happened to Evelyn, but she leaves with her bodyguard, completely devastated. A month later, Evelyn returns to her job at the cafe and then goes out to have fun at a bar. She is surprised to see David trying to catch up with her and telling her that he has not been able to contact her all this time because he has been busy. Evelyn asks David to forget everything between them because he cheated on her with Mara, and then she leaves him and walks away. The next day, after finishing work, David visits Evelyn again, and she agrees to go with him, but instead of going straight home, David takes her to a restaurant to eat the same pizza he had made with her at home. Evelyn tells David that she no longer trusts him and asks him not to try to approach her. The following morning, David waits for Evelyn outside her workplace and tries everything to win her back. He does not want to leave her and watches her for several days until Evelyn realizes that David will not leave her alone. She then goes with him to a cafe where David explains exactly what happened between him and Martha. David tells her that he has known Mara for a long time because she founded the band with him and that they were in love at one point, but they eventually broke up. He confirms that it was Martha who grabbed him in the bathroom. David removes the earring he is wearing, the one that connected him to Mara, to express his love for Evelyn, who finally understands what happened and accepts his apology. At work, Evelyn is surprised when Martha arrives to apologize and tells her that she thought she could win back David's love, but unfortunately she did not succeed because David is so in love with Evelyn that he composed 2 songs about her and even bought a house in the same town where she lives to be near her. Evelyn visits David at the recording studio and tells him that she heard he had composed songs about her and that he also bought a house in her town. He tells Evelyn that he will play the song for her in due time. And the next day, Evelyn gives David a wedding ring as a sign of her agreement to marry him officially. On the day of the party, David says that he will sing a song for his beloved, the woman he cannot live without, and the film ends with David singing his beautiful song while Evelyn listens happily to the song that tells the story of their love.